Welcome back, you indwelling poultry. I am Garrett Weinzerl, and this is The Angry Chicken, episode 60, the first episode of 2015. I am joined, as I always am, and always should be, by Willie Dills Gregory and Miss Jocelyn Moffat. Guys, welcome back.
Hi.
It's like putting
it's good
on
to be back.
It's like putting on a
long
comfy
break.
Yeah. It's like
it felt like forever.
Yeah, it's a comfy pair of feathered pants. That's what this feels like.
You know, we had so much hype around the Kibler episode as well that it seemed kind of a shame that it just happened right before we had holidays and stuff. So bad timing, but whatever.
No, man, finish strong for the year.
Sure, I guess that's a good point.
If I'm going to send everyone off into a holiday break, that's how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it was a great
Trying
show.
really hard not to talk about magic.
Yeah, I don't know. I think in that instance, I think we were allowed to talk about whatever the hell. I mean, it was a really good conversation where we tied both games together very well, I think. And he's just a really, really smart guy when it comes to card games. Who knew?
Wow. Who knew? I honestly, I was surprised. I was like, who's this Brian guy? We're bringing him on. I don't know if he knows what he's talking about.
We'll have him on. Yeah.
Anywho. So that was everybody's holiday break. Jocelyn, you've been gone for even more episodes than Dills and I have. How have you been?
I've been pretty good. I went home to Ontario and saw my family for a while and kind of unplugged from the internet. So that was a nice change. Although I did miss you guys and I missed chat room and everything. And literally as soon as I came back, I was just streaming the crap out of everything. So yeah, I've been streaming a lot, hanging out with chat room. I missed you guys. So yeah, it was a good break. It was a nice break, but I'm ready to get back in.
Dope. That's all I have to say about that.
I only had 3 days off of the internet and I hated it.
Well, you see, I'm on the internet all the time because I live by myself. I, just kind of do my 9 to 5. That's it. So I'm podcasting and streaming all day, every day. And so it's kind of nice to just go and, have some face-to-face family time because they're so far away. So it's good. Yep.
And then your grandmother says that one thing and you're just like, okay, I'm done. Time to go home.
My grandmother can't remember her own name, so it's all good. She's hilarious.
I didn't mean to go there, but okay.
It's rough times for grandmas right now.
Yeah.
Like my grandma's sick too. Poor grandmas.
Way to go, Garrett.
Great.
Yeah.
Showdown.
You know what? Screw this. I'm out of here. I'm gonna call my grandma.
All my fault. It's all my fault. Dills, how was your holiday break?
It was good. I was in Seattle. Hung out with some locals down there, which was quite fun. So I went out one night, like the first night I got there, and just kind of hung out at bars near it was my sister and her husband and their kid, and hung out at some bars there, and made the rounds. And then the next day, he's, I guess, what is the husband of your stepsister? I don't know, whatever. Brother-in-law?
Step-brother-in-law?
Yeah, okay, sure. Chris, we'll call him.
Chris.
He texted me and was like, yeah, we're all going down to this local bar. It was Christmas Eve, so no one was working. Everyone was just hanging out. And we went down, and the bartender of another bar walks in and goes, hey, Willie, how's it going? And I was like, I'm a local already. Look at this. I know all the local bartenders. So I'd say it was a successful trip to Seattle. Good times were had.
Delightful.
Yeah, but I did miss my Hearthstones, and my followers in World of Warcraft were just standing around doing nothing. Wasting time. 3 full days of not doing Garrison.
Oh, my Garrison box is definitely capped full of resources right now. I've been lacking in my WoW duties the last few days, but it happens.
I came back and I didn't even know, but your Gladiator Sanctum, when it gets maxed out, normally it's just a pile of gold. There's an actual chest. I got back and I was like, what is this noise? I got a chest? And I was like, it's because I've been away so long. I never let it get this high.
I don't have one of those. I gotta get one.
Awesome. Well, let's talk some Hearthstone. Let's get into the first news segment of 2015.
Good news, everyone!
Good news indeed. We're getting a shiny new, Naru-rific card back for the month of January. They're calling it the Maraud back. It's just all Dranified. Looks like Vindicator Maraud's big old, shard of Naru hammer. Yeah, exactly. I like this. I like the Draenei kit. So I'm looking forward to getting this card back. What do you guys think of it?
It's so pretty.
It's very, it's
very
whatever.
Pretty.
Nice. I guess I'm at the point now where there's just so many card backs. I'm using the original card back right now.
Every time I
probably
run
the
into
only
somebody with
person.
the original card back, I'm like, oh, this guy's good. He's playing mind games.
Yep, exactly. I think that's part of it because
It's
you
worse
don't
than the
know
legend card back.
how far into the game I am or not far into the game or anything.
Exactly.
I'm a mystery. I'm an enigma.
It's a
I'm
new
using
meta,
the
ladies and
original card back. And then I play on the first turn. I'll play Novice Engineer, and they're like, "What?" And then, no.
I love that.
Blow
Please,
people's minds.
please tell me you're not lying to me right now, Dills, because that sounds amazing.
I'm lying. That card is bad.
Oh,
But but no, yeah. I just at this point, I like the card backs. I like that they're continually being added, but it's hard for me to get excited about every one at this point.
yeah. Do you feel
Maybe
like they
that's
should have
just me.
custom, like add custom sounds when you draw a card and it's customized to your card back? Like you draw the Ice Crown one and it's like Frostmourne Hungers, and I don't know.
That could be kind of cool. I would
But
like
don't
to
you
see
think that would
them.
get really annoying? Like,
Well,
I mean,
you have to
drawing,
load up a
14
decent.
cards, 15, 16 cards a game. It's like Frostmourne.
Well, it can't say the
Frostmourne,
same
Frostmourne,
thing every
Hungers.
time.
No.
You put in a.
I mean, I still haven't gotten sick of Leopardome, asking for a
That's
big
true.
hug, and I mean,
But
I don't know.
that's
I don't think I'd
Leopardome.
get. Yeah, I don't
Jocelyn
think
also
I'd-
makes a good point. I mean, you're not playing Leopardome every turn.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
Wait,
load
you're
it
not
up.
playing Leopardome every turn?
Load it up with like 10 or 15 sound bites, so and then randomize it.
No.
So I don't know. I'm just trying to think of ways to make card backs a little more exciting.
I mean, I think lay the deck down flat. That's the number one way. So I
Agreed.
can see the whole card back every single time.
Agreed. I would love that as well. And not just because Magic that's how I play it. Meh. I just think it would look cooler. Get to really.
So, what card back are you using right now, Garrett?
I haven't stopped using the Ice Crown card back since I got it.
I was gonna say, yeah,
this
that's
is spam.
probably a stupid question.
Yep. looks gorgeous, and I'm a fanboy. So
I
Yeah.
think you should be able to earn card backs, like for just outside things, for specific things. You can earn gold heroes and stuff. I would like to have like a hunter specific card back, or a warlock specific
okay.
card back, and stuff like
That's
that,
cool.
where you can kind of use your warlock flavor when you're playing other classes to say, I'm a warlock player, but right now I'm moonlighting as a paladin or something. I don't know. There could be some fun stuff.
it'd be great if
I
it
think
was.
we're probably going to see that though, because I mean they're breaking it down to the level of like Murad the character. So I'm
Yeah, that's
sure
true.
we're going to see we may not see technically like a Rexar card back because we've already got a hero, but I'm sure we're going to see all those kind of character card backs too. They've got so much to pull from.
They should just tie it into a meta achievement for how many times you've used your hero power.
Well,
Ooh.
when they start adding in things like achievements and stuff, I'm sure they'll have to come up with some rewards, and it'll be things like that. So, yeah.
So
One
awesome.
day.
Well, while we were gone, there's been a few tournaments. One of the more I don't know, not spectacle. What's the word I'm looking for?
High profile?
High profile. There, thank you, Jocelyn, aka Thesaurus. Was the Pinnacle Tourney, which was it was put together by Amaz of Team Archon. He organized the event, and spoiler alert: Team Archon teammate or member Firebat actually won the whole thing.
Yeah, that was picking up
Fixed.
Firebat was just perfect timing for Amaz, wasn't it? He was like, "Hey, you want to be on my team? Win the whole Hearthstone World Championship right after you join, and then win the next tournament that you play right after that." Pretty good time.
Yeah, it's almost like Amaz knows a thing or two about Hearthstone.
Maybe.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Who'da
Yet to be seen.
thunk it? But I caught the finals, and there were some really good games in there. Some other less exciting things we'll talk about, but yeah, that's and if you missed it or if you're curious and you want to see what Firebat played, he posted all 4 of his deck lists on his Twitter. We've got links to them in the show notes over at amove.tv/TAC. But he brought with himself a Pally, a Druid. He's playing a Handlock as well as a Death Rattle Hunter. And there were some really good games. Did you guys get to see this tournament?
I was watching it, but this was the tournament he got DDoSed, right? And then he had to pause for a moment, figure it out. Firebat got DDoSed, I believe, in the tournament.
Right, and then they ended up having to do the finals offline and then broadcast them the next day, I believe, correct?
Yeah. I remember because I was watching, and then all this stuff started happening. They were like, "Well, it looks like we got some issues," and so I took off. So I missed the finals, but I did watch quite a bit of this tournament. I kind of watch all the tournaments.
Yeah, the VODs are up in full and they're nice and peppy. There was none of this issue in the highlights or in the finals. But I recommend people go check it out because there's some great stuff. Like, for example, in Game 1 of the finals, there was a turn 3 Dr. Boom from Firebat's Druid, which was just absurd. It was so ridiculous. Yeah.
And Dr. Boom is so... We haven't talked about it since we did our first initial evaluation, but that card is just... It's crazy because people are running, Big Game Hunter just because of it. But the fact is, even if you Big Game Hunter it, you still have the boom bots. So it's like, it's the one kind of Big Game Hunterable creature you can run that doesn't really hurt you that bad when it gets Big Game Hunter. Like Ragnaros, Big Game Hunter, it's like, man, maybe I hit something good with it. Maybe I didn't. This, you still have the 2 little 1/1s. They use the Big Game Hunter. It kind of opens up the door for maybe an Alex Strauss or whatever other big guy you had at that point. So, like, Dr. Boom is like the first guy to bait out removal to then open up all your other stuff. And then even if they don't have removal, then it's just a 7/7 and 2 little 1/1s that do extra damage. It's just...
And I'd have to go back and listen. I'm not sure how much I poo-pooed on it, but I remember being very trepidatious. I'm like, I don't know how effective a 1/1 with random damage is going to be. And it turns out really effective.
Yeah, insanely effective.
Super effective, even.
Yeah, not to mention, all the buff cards that are in this game already. I'm seeing people who are playing essentially Zoo run Dr. Boom. And you don't ever see cards that cost 7 mana run in the Zoo deck generally, but it's so good. It's like, I'll just throw it in here. Well, if I ever do get to late game, at least I got this.
Exactly. He's having a very similar effect on the game as Lotheb did. It was just like, well, it's just a really good card. I'll just throw it in Zoo because why not?
Sure, yeah. So it's actually made a couple of things. So more Big Game Hunters. Now, I'm actually starting to see mind control tech in Constructed now, because if you play Dr. Boom, that's 3 minions. If you had one other one on board, that's 4. So it's like, that's kind of your dual answer. You can play MC Tech. If you get Dr. Boom, cool. If you don't, then I'm Big Game Hunter. So it's weird, man. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was starting to think I was crazy because I saw mind control tech at least 4 times in the past week, and I was just like, wait a minute, what's going on here? But I'm not playing with Dr. Boom. I still haven't crafted him, but I was just like, why am I seeing so many mind control techs?
It's one card that's defining the meta completely right now. Is that Dr. Boom card, which means it may or may not get changed. We'll see. But until that day comes,
I hope not. It's so fun.
It's a great card. I don't think it's OP. There's answers to it, So, but it's very good.
Yeah, there's not easy answers to it. We'll put it that way.
Yes, and it must be dealt with, or else it does 14 or 21 damage to your face.
Yeah. They had an unfortunate disconnect in the third game of the finals, which kind of sucked, but at the same time, it didn't really look like Firebat was gonna win it anyway. I mean, he ended up taking the loss due to the disconnect, but I don't know. It still makes me wonder if they could improve upon the reconnect feature in some way. I mean, in StarCraft, we have reconnect from a replay. There are no replays in Hearthstone, so that's not really an option.
I think there's on the ladder. I understand not just you have a certain amount of time to get back in the game, whatever. But I think if you're playing a friendly game, they should just give you unlimited time on a disconnect to get back in and finish the turn or something, or maybe both players can select that option just for this specific issue right here.
Yeah, I could see that too. Yeah, or at least some kind of allotted pause time. Even if you wanted to work it into ladder, give them at least 60 minutes. Or 60 seconds. Oh my god!
It's like 60 minutes.
What a minute.
Why don't they just make it unlimited?
No, give them a full minute. To reconnect. I mean, I can sit around for a minute and wait on a person, but
if it's a big time tournament,
if it's a friend.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if it's a big tournament, you don't want it decided by this. And if, say, he goes, it's one player gets disconnected and they can't get back in time, and the turn is missed, what's the correct thing to do now? So the other player then just pass their turn? Well, now a mana's built up on both sides, and the card's been drawn, and the game is in a completely different state. You don't want to see games won or lost when thousands of dollars are on the line based on a disconnect. And this game is, unlike Magic or physical card games, this game is always going to be prone to that because you're actually online unless you're doing a LAN tournament. So it's just, I think that's something I hope that they address at some point, is some way to kind of ensure that it's not going to affect the outcome.
Yeah, I'd like to see something as well. So, anywho's, folks should go check it out. The last 2 games in particular were really fun to watch. So, I recommend it. It's a good time.
Yeah, some high-level play. Xixo is kind of coming into his own, I think, as more than just a zoo player as well. He's kind of known at this point as the guy who stays up all day and night and gets first legend every season. And I think he did it again this season. He just plays that zoo deck. It's this monster zoo deck, which I've been playing a ton of because it really works well. It's like you kind of feel dirty sometimes when you're doing it, but when you
can't argue with results though.
When you implosion someone for 4 and then you get 4 imps and then and you have a knife juggalo on board and you pop up 4 daggers at the same time. It's pretty sick, but whatever, man. That deck works. It's a good deck, and he's the one who's kind of spearheading that movement of super fast, minion heavy, like just all minion damage. Zoo, which is really effective.
I feel like making a little bit of a jab here, like spearheading the thing that's been happening in the game since launch. Like,
well, no, but he actually took a thing that already existed and really kind of
refined it.
I mean,
he trimmed the fat.
Yeah, Zoo's always going to be a thing, but he made the best version of it to date, I believe. And I've been playing a ton of it, and he's even now still tweaking it. He just added in Void Callers and Jiraxis into it now recently, and I tried that out and I was like, wow, that's really good actually, because if you Void Caller the Jiraxis you get a 315 for free, and that's just with Zoo you trade a lot, you do a lot of trading to manage the board, and if you don't on turn 9, if you do get there, you actually do have some semblance of a late game, so it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, man, that is cool. It is really cool. Also, and am I pronouncing the name right? Is it MagicAmy?
MagicAmy.
MagicAmy. That's what I thought. Some places were showing it with a capital A, some places show it with a lowercase a. Wasn't sure. Anyway, she joined Temp Storm. And there's over on liquidhearth.com, there's a whole article about it and an interview with her. But this was on January 1st, so first day of the new year. She went and joined Temp Storm. And Dills, you wanted to make sure and bring this up because she's from South Korea, right?
Yeah, she's South Korean. She kind of started out in the StarCraft scene. I think it was Warcraft 3 and StarCraft.
Specifically Brood War.
Brood Wars, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But she, there's just not really a big South Korean scene in Hearthstone at this point. And she talks a little bit about it in that interview, and then also she did an AMA on the Hearthstone Reddit and talked about that as well. And this is a good move, I think, because South Korea is the esports kind of capital, right? And we don't have a Hearthstone scene there yet, and this could be cool. And she's really, really good, and she's female, and she's really good. You can't just say that she's not even a streamer. She's great. I don't understand this girl. Like, she has all gold heroes and all gold cards. It's like, how much Hearthstone do you play? How much Hearthstone do you actually play?
Clearly a lot. Because she's also making waves in the ESL Challenger Series. She won week 6.
Yeah, and she beat Trump, Flybird, and Hype. She beat these not slouches. She didn't just, she's and if you watch some of the games, there's some high-level handlock play there. Stuff, I don't think anyone would have made the moves that she did, and she won a couple games. And she had a deck that I don't think anyone was playing. So it's pretty impressive what she's doing already. So congrats to her, congrats to Temp Storm, and we'll see what this does for South Korea and Hearthstone.
Yeah, I'd like to see a Hearthstone scene spread up in South Korea, because that's what got me into all this, was watching GSL and whatnot. So
yeah. Oh, somebody just brought up Masan. Yeah, I think he's the only other person that I know of in Korea who's playing a lot of Hearthstone is Masan. So now we got 2. All right, here we go.
Scene set.
We have plenty of former StarCraft players playing, but it's all like former North American StarCraft players.
Yeah. And there's a reason why, I think, because they weren't able to win very much in StarCraft, right?
Yes, that is very true. There's only a few handful notable North American players, and most of the ones that were really good are still playing. So
yeah,
go Huck. Let's talk some strategy, shall we?
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
We are still going forward talking about one class's Goblins versus Gnomes cards a week until we have talked about them all. And this week we are talking about the Mage. By the way, this was because everyone voted who listens to the show. Well, not everyone, but a good chunk of you voted. Mage won. And I actually haven't put up the poll yet. But when it is up, you'll be able to go to tinyurl.com/TAC61 to vote for which class is going to be discussed next week. So let's talk some Mage cards, shall we? First up in alphabetical order is Echo of Medivh. It's a 4-mana epic rarity spell.
Wait, how did you pronounce that?
Medivh.
Medivh?
Medivh.
Okay.
I refuse to say Medivh.
All right.
I refuse.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, they're going to throw down. Hang on.
That's fine.
Are you like wearing
Just wanted to
Terpster's
clarify.
pants tonight or something? What's going on, dude?
No, I just pronounced it Medivh, that's all.
That's okay. It's cool to be wrong. Anyway, it reads, put a copy of each friendly minion into your hand. I like this card.
This is a good card.
I like this card too.
As always, we're assigning letter grades to this, so we do a different one for Constructed and Arena, A through F. Reasons I like it, it's 1 more mana for far more controllable duplicate-like effect. And it also works on multiple minions, which is just dope as hell. Because if everyone remembers, we took a big hot dump on duplicate when Curse of Naxxramas came out. But the level of control you have over utilizing the spell just makes it really, really good. I gave it a B- in Constructed and a C+ in Arena. Jocelyn, what'd you give it?
I gave it a B in Constructed and a B- in Arena, and I like this card. I mean, it's controllable card draw. I don't think it's something that you play early game. I think you hold on to it till late game because you can really do cool combos with stuff that's 6 mana or less. So you can get, bonus Cairns, bonus Lothebs, and you get to choose what exactly you're going to get from that card. So I don't know. I really like it. I think it's a good late game play.
Yeah, this card is amazing. It's it allows you to play crazy aggro decks and then you just refill. So
Yeah.
Sure.
it works. It's similar in a way to something like Divine Favor, except you're instead of relying on the other person to have a bunch of cards in hand and you not having cards in hand, you're just relying on you having dudes on board. So what you do when you play stuff like this is you play stickier minions that are a little harder to kill, and then I've drawn 7 cards with this thing plenty of times. Like you have a full board and then you play it and then 7 things go in your hand. A lot of times those are boom bots and the tokens that come off of things or whatever. But it's fine.
You didn't say that well. You said they're boom bots. You said they're boom bots.
Sure. With a boom bot,
things.
when it comes back, it's a 1-mana 1/1. It's a boom bot, and so it's fine to get that back into your hand, and it's made decks playable that probably wouldn't be playable before, like these just insanely fast mage decks with all the little sticky minions and undertakers and whatnot, and then you just whoop, Medivh back to full.
Yeah, I mean that's the entire issue with playing a very low mana curve deck is just running out of gas. You just deploy your hand. It works for Warlock because they can draw cards.
Yeah.
But playing a mage, if you just start deploying your hand, you run out of stuff to do real fast. So being able to just be like, well, everything that's out there right now, back in my hand again. No cards taken from my library. I'm not gonna die from frickin' fatigue. It's good. It's a good card.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
Plus, even though you have to, obviously play the cards again, so you have to spend the mana to get the cards out there. At the same time, you get all your battle cry effects. So it's not like it duplicates the board and just puts them out there. You still get all your battle cry effects. So you can play cards that have cool battle cries and get to use those twice. So I like it a lot, actually.
I've been using it mostly in kind of an Undertaker mage deck because there's so many cards that just work well with that, so Undertaker is obviously really good, and then you've got you can play Duplicate because you also play the Scientist as well, so you got that guy going. He's also a Death Rattle minion, so he buffs your Undertaker, and then you play all the other Death Rattle minions that leave stuff behind, so you generally have things on the board, so when you echo Medivh later, you sometimes get another Undertaker back, plus and also like all those cheap minions you can play them out on the same turn you play Echo, and then you can replay them all out again on the next turn. It's just so the opponent is forced to clear your whole board and then clear a whole board again, which is just really difficult to do.
Yep.
That deck was, I mean, it felt like cheating, and I had to stop playing it. I just felt bad. I was like, this is terrible what I'm doing to these people. And then of course there's Day 9's deck, where he takes he basically puts up Ice Block, and then once he's really low on health, he gets free Molten Giants. He plays those out. He echoes. He gets more Molten Giants, and he just ends up with like 7 Molten Giants on the board, and it's insane. Yep. You can use Echo with a 0 mana 8/8. That's pretty good.
Yeah, chat rooms.
Turns out.
Chat rooms all talking about Day 9's early videos of this deck, and they're also mentioning that it also works really good in control decks. So.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, anything where you're going to have, you obviously need to have a deck where you're going to have minions that stick to the board, because if you're playing minions that are very easy to remove, then it's going to be tough to get value out of this thing. And I think you really want to get at least 3 minions anytime you play this, or else you're kind of losing out. But that's really not that difficult if you build a deck around that. So yeah, this card's very good.
Yep.
And in Arena, I think it's good because there's a lot of turns where stuff sticks on the board. In Arena, stuff sticks on the board because people don't have all the premium removal that they do in Constructed. So
yeah, exactly. Well, let's go from a really good card to a really bad card, shall we?
Let's do it.
Next up is Flame Leviathan, a 7 mana legendary rarity mech minion. It has 7 attack and 7 health for 7 mana. Okay, passes the vanilla test. And it reads, when you draw this, comma, deal 2 damage to all characters.
Yeah.
Guys. Terrible.
Who? We haven't talked about this card yet on the show.
No.
Who the? What?
I had this played against me yesterday. It was awful. Yeah. The person had it got drawn on turn 3 and killed all. I didn't have any minions out and killed the whole board on the other side. And I was like, well, that was good for me. Yeah. I was like, what are you doing? Why is this card in your deck? Get off my ladder.
I don't understand what they're going for here, but I don't know. To me, it's like, okay, a 7 mana 7/7 that already exists. We can do that already. A War Golem does that. Then you've got a 7 mana card that deals 2 damage to all characters. Well, we've got that too. We've got Baron Geddon. So why do we need this guy who just does it at a random moment in the game that you can't control and
you don't even see coming?
It's
not even like there's some kind of countdown or something. It's just
it's a mech. It's a mech. It's got that going for it.
It dies the VGH. It's got that going for it.
Is that why you gave it a D+, Garrett? Because it's a mech?
No, I gave it a D+. Okay, I gave this card a D+ in Constructed and a D in Arena. The only reason it has a plus in Constructed is because it has the mech moniker, and maybe somewhere far in the future, and this is white-haired Dr. Emmett Brown getting in a DeLorean and heading to the year 3015 to see what Hearthstone looks like. There will be a mech deck where Flame Leviathan is king, and it's all your mechs are above 2 health, and and everyone else, the meta has just become this thing where everyone is playing minions that have 2 health. And Flame Leviathan is the greatest thing. No, I've got nothing. It's got a mech moniker, so I gave it a plus just to put some variation into our grades, because spoiler alert, we all gave it D's in both Constructed and Arena across the board.
So Trump did play this card in a Freeze Mage, which has some merit in a Freeze Mage. The problem again though is that Freeze Mage, I feel like, is kind of packed full already, and I don't think this card is. And yes, you don't play a lot of minions, and generally the minions you play are things like Acolyte of Pain or Mad Scientist, where if they die, it's actually fine because they do something good for you when they get damaged. So an Acolyte draws, which you want your Acolyte to draw, and you want your Mad Scientist to die because it gives you the secret, right? But it still is just that deck is already really tight, and there's not a lot of room because you need to have all these finishers in there, and you need to have all the card draw that ensures that you have the stall you need. You need to draw through your deck, and this card just takes up a slot with what I believe is an inferior way to do what you can already do with other cards. So he tried, and it didn't work, and he gave up. So he's the only guy I actually seen like make a go at this in the kind of deck I think it could work in, and it still didn't work.
Yeah.
So I just thought I don't,
In the interest of saying something positive about this card, I'm happy that this is a thing that exists in Hearthstone. Like, you draw a card, when you draw this card, just something happens. And I think that's really cool.
It's a cool idea for something, for a mechanic, I guess. I think it would be better if it did something else other than damage, but I don't know what that would be. But I like that they're experimenting.
It'd be cooler if it was
consecrated
playable.
the other side when it happened. This card would actually be very good.
Yeah.
But the fact that it hits your own stuff too just makes
even
it
if
really
it was
difficult to
like
play.
only the opponent and maybe just like 1 damage or something, that would be great. But
yeah.
No.
The problem is that it's it's not only is it random when the effect happens, but when it does happen, now the opponent knows you have this in your hand. It's like it just gives information away too.
Yeah.
So it's just weird.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, every card in this game isn't going to be amazing, and it shouldn't be, but I'm just so perplexed that a legendary is this bad.
Yeah, the fact that it's a legendary. So, I mean, next time we have Broad on, we just got to talk to him about this card.
I feel like we've already poked the
Where
Broad.
does this belong? Where
What
do
were
you
you
put this
thinking?
card?
I feel like the next time he comes on, we won't even have to ask him. He's just going to be like, "Listen, guys, just
all right,
duplicate."
Here's how it works.
just like when he came on and he was like, "Let me tell you about your duplicate review and why you're wrong." So
I love when he tells us why we're wrong.
I know.
I've actually come around on duplicate quite a lot.
Oh,
you just
yeah.
have to play it in the right deck.
Exactly.
It has to be in a deck that really takes advantage of its effect.
There
There are a few out there.
These grades, I mean, it's like a time capsule. It's like a look at what Hearthstone is right now and how we feel it kind of currently works. And we try to take the future into account, but we're sometimes wrong. We were wrong about duplicate. It's playable. I still don't love it, but it's a playable card. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about duplicate. We're here to talk about Flamecannon, a 2-mana common spell, and it reads deal 4 damage to a random enemy minion. I like this card.
I love this card.
I had a lot of fun. This is one of the first cards that I was just like, ooh, at when I had a chance to try Goblins vs. Gnomes at BlizzCon.
Best reaction ever.
Yes. Yes. I was like, oh man, on turn 2 I have access to 4
Gave Garrett
damage.
the shivers.
Yeah, exactly. As a matter of fact, I believe the first time I experienced it, it was being used against me to great effect, and I was like, damn, Flamecannon, you good. You good, Flamecannon. Now, it's not seeing a lot of play in Constructed at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not high on this card in Constructed yet because I feel like in the 2-mana removal slot, I'd just rather have Frostbolt because I can tell it where to go.
Right.
But the thing is, though, if you save your Frostbolts and use Flamecannon instead, there's a lot of good freezing combos later on in the game that you get to use, like Ice Lance. So you can use that anywhere, and you still use Flamecannon early game because, I mean, 4 damage, there's a lot of warriors right now, and they throw down that Armor Smith, and you're just like, oh, Armor Smith, eh? Boom, Flamecannon, done.
Yeah. To me, I felt like every deck where I've tried to build when I've tried to build a mage deck, I just haven't found room for this because I need to put all this other stuff in. And with 30 cards, I'm trying to prioritize which removal I really want. And so I just always end up not choosing Flamecannon, and I choose Frostbolt over it instead. Because, being able to do not only burn damage to the opponent's face with Frostbolt and stuff like that, that card just becomes infinitely better than Flamecannon to me. So I haven't really... It's kind of worked its way out of all my constructed versions of Mage. However, this made Mage even better in Arena because this card, in Arena, you want removal. You just want removal in Arena. You're not going to get all the removal you want, and this is another one that it's common, and you get a lot of them. I had a deck the other day that had 3 Frostbolts and 3 Flamecannons, and I went 12. It was just easy. It was like never even an issue. I just put my dude down. You put a guy down, I Flamecannon it. And my dude, then I Frostbolt, and nobody could keep anything on the board. So in Arena, I think it's spectacular, but I think in Constructed, it's just hard to prioritize this over some other card. Then Frostbolt kind of does what it needs to do already.
All right. Fair enough. Well,
so that's why, C+. It's above average. C+. It's above average.
All right.
There's a plus in there.
I'm pretty close to you. I ended up giving a B- in Constructed just because I just like 4 damage for 2 mana.
Sure.
Yeah. And it is to a random enemy minion, but as always, you can kind of mitigate that and warp the board state to your liking, to the best of your ability anyway. But I definitely give it a B+ in Arena, like really bordering on that A-. Like, this is a great card in Arena. So.
And like I said, in Arena, you want removal and you're not guaranteed to get it, so you just take all the removal you can get essentially. And this is another common. It's like Mage is all the common removal. It's just really Fireball's common, Frostbolt's common. This is common. Flame Strike.
Flame Strike is the one that's still
the only one that's not is freaking Blizzard. Dude.
Still makes me
rage. Like that's not even the good one. So
I'll take a Blizzard over a Flame Strike any day.
And isn't Blizzard just rare? It's not even epic.
Yeah, Blizzard's rare. It's not even. Yeah, it's not epic. So.
Yep.
And then you go to like Shaman, and their one AOE is friggin' rare, and you just never get more than one of them, and it sucks. So it's Mage is just it's still crazy, man. I've gone I'm gonna talk about this later, but I've played 2 arenas in the past day and a half or whatever using Hearth Arena. I got 10 wins on the first, and I just got 12 wins on the second. All I played was mages after 5 wins both friggin' times. Just mage everywhere.
Yeah.
As soon as you get to 5+, it's just all mages.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also a lot of variations on the mage. It's not like there's one type, so you're gonna see them all over the place. But anyways, Jocelyn, what did you give Flamecannon? I don't think we got your.
I gave it A in Constructed and B in Arena, and for the life of me right now, I cannot remember why I went lower in Arena than I did in Constructed. I think I gave my Arena grade first. And then went, oh, wait, but all the things I can do in Constructed, and then gave my Constructed grade. So I don't,
Well,
I think I might bump my
We are
grade
allowed
up.
to change our grades here. You don't have to defend
I know, but
grades.
I'm trying to remember if it was an actual reason or not. I don't think there was a reason.
Okay, fair enough. So you would flip it B Constructed
so.
A Arena? Okay.
I think that's about right. I only said C+ because I still think it's above average, but I just feel like when you're in Constructed, you're oftentimes it's hard to find just 30 cards. You know, if you could have 32 cards, I would put 2 flame cannons in, but I only get 30, right? So. Yeah.
Well, I have the mech mage that I'm playing with right now has 1 flame cannon, and I took one of my 2-mana mechs out because I had like 2 of everything. And I found that a lot of the times, and I can't remember right off the top of my head which one it was, but that they would just sit in my hand. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. And it worked so well because those freaking armor smiths, like, bane of my existence.
I can see that. And this, I think, is a meta-dependent card, like in a lot of ways. Like, if Miracle Rogue was still a thing, which right now it's just not, and maybe one day it will be again. But if it was still a thing and you're seeing Concealed Auctioneers all the time, this card would be amazing.
Yeah.
Because how do you beat Miracle Rogue? You kill Concealed Auctioneer, and then they concede. So this would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
You know? That's the only minion on the board. Bam, dead, no problem.
We are seeing Shades played, and I feel like every time Firebat plays a game of Hearthstone, we see more Shades played. And
but Shades they're few and far between as far as like what deck they go in. Like I was just really seeing them in like Druid and some decks that really rely on being able to buff minions and stuff.
Yeah, no,
they just need something to stick.
Yeah, I'm not making a case saying it's in every deck, but what I'm trying to say is this card gets better. Its grade goes up the more Shades or Rogues running Conceal are in the meta at the moment. Yeah,
right now Conceal's not a big thing, whereas in Arena, Conceal is a big thing. You see tigers all over the place. If you can get some spell damage and throw this thing out and kill a tiger with it, dude, that's sick value right there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff you don't expect to be concealed, though, because of all those freaking spare parts. I can't remember off the top of my head which one it is, but there's that 1-mana spell that will conceal anything.
Yeah, 1 mana conceal a minion. Yeah.
I think we're using the words conceal in place of stealth.
Stealth.
I meant specifically the rogue spell
conceal is the card that gives stealth. But
the rogue, that's what the rogue card. Yeah, but give a minion stealth is one of the 1-mana spare parts that you get when you have all these mech decks. And I know that there's been a lot of mine, or not a lot of mine, but some of my mechs give mechs not only to me but to my opponent as well. And so then they get to conceal stuff, and I'm like, oh, or stealth stuff, and I'm like, damn it. So it comes in handy.
Yeah, this card does have the nice little side note that it goes through conceal. Stealth,
Yeah.
whatever.
Stealth, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Garrett, you ruined us.
Well, anyways, as we go along here, it really feels like Team 5 made up for the lackluster legendary Flame Leviathan, because we're going on to another card that's really freaking good. The Goblin Blastmage. It's a 4-mana rare minion, has 5 attack, 4 health, and a battle cry that reads, if you have a mech, deal 4 damage randomly split among all enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Gimme.
Yeah. This is
And
a
I
really
think
good card.
I have yet to play this card where I haven't had a mech on the board, so I get the bonus 4 damage every single time. And it's a great card even without 4 damage, so I love this card. It's so good. Every time I pull it and it gets the little yellow line around it, I'm like, yes.
It's you in constructed, you wouldn't play it in a deck that doesn't have mechs, right? So you're just gonna get that effect all the time.
Yeah, but that's the thing that's good about it, is even if you're playing it in your mech deck and you don't have your mech on board and you have to play it naked, it's just like, well, at least it's good stats.
Yeah, it's still 5/4, and they still go, oh man, and they have to
Okay,
kill
so
it.
if a Yeti for 4 is really good, then this is just a little less good, right? I mean, a Yeti is a 4 or 5. Yeti's, we all know, is a good card. The stats are really good. All you're doing is reversing those stats for the same exact cost if you don't get this 4 random damage. So like in Arena, I pick it even if I don't have mechs because of just slightly worse Yeti, essentially. And a 4-drop, sometimes you don't get a lot of great 4-drops in Mage. You know, sometimes you're filling your 4 slot up with nothing but fireballs, and which is fine. Don't get me wrong, but I want to have a minion I can play on turn 4 too, and this is better than like Kazan Mystic or something like that I might also get a chance to pick. So I still pick it even if I don't have a bunch of mechs, because oftentimes I will end up with mechs anyway. There's a lot of them in the game right now, and it's even then, it's like I gave it C+ in Arena, because even when it's just that's what it is. It's a C+ card without the battle cry.
Yeah, no, it's a damn good card. So I gave it a B+ in constructed, a B in Arena. Dills, what did you give it?
A in constructed, because in the deck it's built for, it's an A card. It's like the card that makes that deck really good. And then yeah, C+, slightly above average in Arena, because you don't know if you get a mech. If you do, then it's just boom, bonus. And I've had 2 of these in a deck where I had a bunch of mechs, and I again went, I think like 10 or 11, because that's just so powerful on turn 4 to kill their stuff. And also it doesn't. If it was like a 3/5 or something, it would be god awful, because it would die to all the 3-drops. But it still trades favorably with all the 3-drops. So, you know, you're chilling playing it just as the 4/5 or the 5/4. Excuse me.
5/4. Yeah, it's a good card. Jocelyn, what about you?
I gave it B+ in constructed and C in Arena, and I think I might up my constructed grade, because I mean, like, I spent literally all day yesterday playing with this mech mage on the ladder, and this blast mage was amazing. So good every single time I played it. Every time.
Yeah, think about turn 4 in a mech mage. You generally have 2 or 3 minions already on board, and then so whatever this does, it just kind of goes, okay, well now I can trade my little 2/1 crappy dude and kill this thing off or whatever, or you know, I can just ping next turn or whatever. Like, there's just so many ways that this opens things up for you.
It's just, it's a huge tempo swing even if you're behind. So oh god, okay, I'm changing it.
all right, I'll go
now before I forget.
I'll bring it up to the A-, Pete.
Imagine if Knife Juggalo was like, you know, if you have a minion on board, deal 3 knives or something, or 2 knives. Like, getting 1 or 2 knives out of a Knife Juggalo is amazing. This is a 4-drop that just does 4 of them. Just 4 of them. Bam.
Right away.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yep, it's good stuff. And let's just keep the good stuff train rolling. Let's talk about Mr. Snowchugger, the little chugger that could freeze. I can't be clever today. It's a 2-mana common mech minion. It has 2 attack, 3 health, and it reads freeze any character damaged by this minion. Yeah, I think I'll let my my rule for all 2-drops must have 3 attack, 2 health just slide on this one.
Yeah, that's actually changed, I think, too, with GVG. I think 2/3s are now slightly better, just overall.
Yeah, because of Flame Leviathan, man, you just can't keep them on board.
Well, it's yeah, because Flame Leviathan has altered the meta. No, I think it's because we see more 1-drops than we ever did before, and if you play a 3/2 on turn 2, oftentimes it'll die to things like Zombie Chow or Clockwork Gnome, or some of these little there's more of these little crappy 1-drops that will kill off your 3/2s now. And so 2/3s will trade with the 1-drop and still be on the board. So they just kind of tend to be a little bit. And this one, especially against a rogue or something.
Oh my God, rogues hate this.
And then they can't knife it because they want to knife it, and they do, but then they're frozen for like the next 2 turns, essentially.
Yeah. I've had rogues rage quit on me 3 times now when I've gotten 2 Snowchuggers out within the first couple of turns, and then I just keep pinging them and freezing them. I had a Snowchugger on board the entire game, and I just kept this poor rogue frozen. They couldn't do anything. In the end, they played like all their deadly poisons on top of all their weapons, and then they just rage quit, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, I have. I played this on, let's see, it was turn 2. I coined this out or something like that, and then the rogue backstabbed it, and then eviscerated it so he didn't have to use his dagger. And I was like, dude, are you serious? Just to not be frozen?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it makes people do crazy things because you just lock them down, weapon classes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Is there's so many weapons being played right now. I mean, just go watch the finals of the Pinnacle that we talked about. It was all about Harrison Jones, and had there been a mech mage played, it would have been all about the Snowchugger, just locking these people down. Harrison Jones removes the weapon from play, but Snowchugger just makes it so you can't use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, any other weapons you
so
pull,
much more frustrating for them.
Because
then it's sitting there, and they're just like,
exactly.
I want to swing so bad, and they can't.
And in a way, I like that effect better than Harrison Jones, because with Harrison Jones, you use it once, okay, that weapon's been destroyed. They can play the rest of their weapons. If you're just constantly freezing them, every weapon they pull is useless.
Yep.
Yeah, they end up having to use the premium removal spells to get rid of it rather than the weapons, which is in a lot of, like, especially Control Warrior, they outside of execute and shield slam, they just don't have removal spells necessarily. Yeah. Their weapons are the removals. So yeah, you take that away and it really gimps the class. So this is just, it's like Mage just has so many options now to just keep people locked down and stuff.
If it's a
and it's a mech.
If you're playing a weapon-based class even remotely, a Snowchugger is a 2-drop that just has to die. Like, you have to do whatever you can to kill this thing, and it's absurd because it's a 2-drop and it's a 2/3, and it shouldn't be. But then
there's also the mech warper. So you play that, that's a 2-drop as well, and then all of a sudden they're just like, well, what do I do now? I have to kill them both in one turn, and it gets so overwhelming so quickly.
Yeah, and we have, I don't think we did we properly review mech warper? I don't believe we did, but damn, that card.
Done the neutral stuff yet.
The neutral ones.
That card is just horrifying.
That card is insane in a mech deck. So when you see both of these, if you're a weapon class though, you still kill Snowchugger over that. You allow the other guy to build more tempo, requiring you to have to remove more things, because this means I can't remove anything.
Then I get a 1-mana Snowchugger, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty disgusting what can happen sometimes in games if you can't get rid of this thing.
Yeah. Well, I give it an A- constructed, and I'm just gonna bring my arena grade up to match that. I just think I'm just gonna give it an A across the board. And constructed an arena for Mr. Snowchugger here. Dills, what did you give Snowchugger?
Well, I mean, I think it's really good and constructed, but I think I only give it a B because I still think that Water Elemental is better. So, like, Water Elemental gets the A because that's harder to kill. This can die to, 3 damage from Dark Bombs and stuff like that.
I do have to ask you, though, what more do you want from a 2-drop to give a 2-drop minion an A?
Well, no, I mean, I think it's okay. An average 2-drop is a C, right? And then this is a better than average 2-drop. And so
what's an A 2-drop?
An A 2-drop? Knife Juggalo.
Is there anything else?
Is the best card in the game.
Is there anything else other than Knife Juggler?
The Knife Juggalo is an A.
I think there's enough room in this.
Snowchuggalo is a B.
I think there's enough room in this world for more than one A graded 2-drop.
All right,
especially with this good.
It's really good. I give it a B, but in Arena I give it an A.
In the world of Hearthstone, I think this is just a shining. All other 2-drops besides the Knife Juggler want to be Snowchugger.
Look, there's only room on the mountaintop for one Knife Juggler. Okay. The Snowchuggalo can hang out. He can have, he'll have the diet Fago, but the Knife Juggalo gets the premium stuff.
Well, you know what? Snowchugger has that Knife Juggler doesn't have dills?
What's that?
Chugga, 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 chugga.
Yeah, that's true. But the other guy puts this apple on your head. I mean, that's cool too, right?
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Jocelyn, you're my brother or sister in arms here. What'd you give?
I gave it A's in both. I love this card so much.
Awesome, delightful. Let's keep chugging along and let's talk about Soot Spewer, a 3-mana rare mech minion, has 3 attack, 3 health, so it's a 3/3 for 3. Okay, and it has spell damage +1. It's an underwhelming card.
Well, it's better than the other 3-mana spell damage card, which is a 1/4. So I don't know. I think it's average. At worst, it's average.
Yeah, no, I gave it a C across the board. It's definitely playable. It's just really underwhelming because, I mean, for 3 mana, I'd rather have Spider Tank in my mech deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's average at best. But what I think it's actually above average in Arena, only because you don't get to pick whether you get Spider Tank or this. I don't get to decide which one I'm going to put in.
I might give
it a get the one that I get. And if this is the one, I'm okay with it because I generally have a lot of spells and mage. Yeah. And, you know, I could play this on the same turn that I play Flame Strike on like turn 10, and I could do 5 damage to everything. So I've actually had this card do some work for me in Arena. Constructed, I would never pick this. It's an average card, and I want above average cards in my constructed decks. I've had it do work for me in Arena.
I really like just good stats in Arena, I guess. So I'm looking at this, I'm like, I'd just rather have a Kirin Mage. I'd rather have that extra attack.
Yeah, but this is Arena. You can't just say what you'd rather have. Like, you don't get to decide.
Oh, I know. But...
like, every time I see this, it's always up against Kirin Mage or Spider Tank. That's just not how it works. Like, this will be up against...
Oh no, but if I'm evaluating my cards, Kirin Mage is also a 3-mana drop. It also is a rare, so it's also mage specific. So that's how I'm comparing it here. And I wouldn't give Kirin Mage like a shining grade. I'd give it like maybe a B-. So I'm not going to give Soot Spewer a B-. I'm going to give Soot Spewer a C.
Okay.
That's my rationale.
Yeah, I disagree because when you're in Arena, you don't put it up against other 3 drops. You put it up against whatever it's up against. And I think whatever it's up against, this generally will be okay. It's not going to be the worst. Like, in a lot of cases, mind control tech can be amazing, or it could just be a 3/3 for 3. And this could be a 3/3 for 3, or it could make my Frostbolt a targetable Flamecannon. You know, like that's okay. That's okay.
Well, when you put it like that, I'm on board.
It still has an upside. That's what I'm saying. And in Mage generally has a lot of spells, so the upside is good here. Like, if it was in, say, Warlock, who doesn't often get that many spells, and like, let's say the spells you do get are stuff like Hellfire, where it's just gonna die in the Hellfire now. Like that's not as good. But I think in Mage, this card is pretty good. If this was in Mage, or if this was a Rogue card, pretty good, pretty decent. But not in like Warrior or other classes. So because it's a Mage card, I think it's okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I mean, B-. I'm not giving it like an A+ here. I'm giving it.
Oh, I know. I'm telling you the way my brain works. I was like, I'd rather have Kirin Mage and give Kirin a B-, so I'm going to give Soot Spewer a C. That's just how it works. And I don't think there's anything wrong with C's.
I'd rather have Kirin Mage if I had secrets already in the deck. I'd rather have this if I already had a bunch of spells in the deck. I
guess I'd just rather have a 4/3 for 3. And then also, I mean, here we get into just this whole of Arena. It's like, well, if this is a later pick and I have a crap ton of spells, I'm totally taking it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know.
But also, like, think about like a 4/3 over a 3/3 will only ever give you that 1 extra attack when it gets to attack. Whereas, say, like a Soot Spewer, when I apply it to an AoE, gave me 5 extra attacks on, like, it's just it's not cut and dry. That you're
making a good point. You have that extra option where, like, out of curve, this actually helps you because you can play it and then play a spell and get Actually, that's a really good point.
Yeah, like say like the 2/2 with spell damage, the Kobold, right? Kobold Geomancer.
Yep.
People consider that an okay-ish card because it's kind of fills that role of like I can play a spell damage card in the same turn as the spell because it's cheap enough.
Yeah.
And this kind of works in the same way. So I feel like it's okay. It's not terrible. It's not great. It's just okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's why I kind of just gravitated toward the C's. I mean, I expect my Arena deck is probably going to have a lot of C's. They're going to be my pawns. Like, I'm going to have to play them.
An arena deck has C cards in it.
Yep.
Almost every single deck.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah.
All right, you talked me up. I think I agree with your B- now on Mr. Soot Spewer.
Yeah.
As far as constructed, though, still C across the board. This is a boring card in
No, I'm not
constructed.
putting this in my constructed decks.
No. Jocelyn, what did you give Soot Spewer?
I was a little bit lower. I gave it D in constructed and C in arena because I would rather take a lot of different things over top of a Soot Spewer. Like I couldn't really think of a deck that I would really make use of this over everything else. So I gave it a D in constructed. It's kind of meh, and there are so many really, really, really good cards in Mage, other than the legendary, obviously. So I really think that this is their meh card, the one that's kind of like, yeah, okay.
They got a bunch of great cards, and they definitely got some.
The flavor text on Soot Spewer should just read, better than Flame Leviathan.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm not Leviathan.
Like a card like Raging Worgen. I used to love that card, and I think, oh man, it's so good because they have to deal with it. Then the more you play it, the more you realize it's not that hard to deal with a 3/3. So when you think of a card like Earthen Ring Farseer or SI7 Agent, like those cards are really good because they do something like right when you play them, and you can manipulate this card to do something when you play it, which is buff a spell. So it's not as good as just a pure 3-drop, but SI7 Agent kind of sucks as a pure 3-drop. You have to combo it to do something with it, so you don't just drop it on 3 very often.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if that card's amazing, this card can also be kind of good. So I don't know. I got some work out of it my last arena run, and it up to my definition of what. And also in arena, mechs are kind of good because they open up some of the other options. Like suddenly Mech Warper and this card go together. Suddenly Tinkertown and this card go together. Suddenly, Blastmage and this card go together. You get some help just from the fact that it's a mech.
Yeah, it's a synergy enabler.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's good stuff. Let's talk about Unstable Portal. It's a fun card.
So fun.
It has 2 mana rare spell, and it reads, add a random minion to your hand. It costs 3 less. Now, this is one of the cards that was previewed at BlizzCon, and it was also playable on the floor if you were playing with their pre-made Goblins versus Gnomes decks. And oh, the stories that came out of that. This is one of those cards I have an interesting relationship with because I love it. I really do. I have no interest in playing it seriously, like whatsoever.
I've been seeing it all over the place, man. It's I'm seeing it in tons. I saw it in a mech mage that was also playing Mana Worms, and then they would play that on turn 1. Then on turn 2 they would play this and buff their Mana Worm, and then get some crazy minion, and then suddenly they have Gromish or something. It's just like it is an insanely fun card, but it actually does have some practical uses. And in general, you get value out of this card. In general, you get a card for 3 cheaper. So essentially you get it for 1 cheaper, and you get a massive tempo swing on some future turn. And it's actually really rare to get, because if you look at the total amount of minions in the game.
Oh, absolutely.
1 and 2 and 3 drops, or 1 and 2 are the only ones that give you like negative value, right?
Yes.
A 3-drop or higher gives you at least equal value. A 4-drop or higher plus value. So I don't know. I guess actually a 3 or higher, any 3 or higher. So you're generally getting good value.
Yeah, I've heard that argument all over the place, and it is true, but I disagree with it. That's what makes the card good, because so much of constructed Hearthstone is about, you talked about it earlier, trimming the fat, getting a deck so concise and down to its essence, and knowing how to control it. And there's so much synergy and so much combo potential, and Unstable Portal is just it's a wild card.
Yes, but it's a spell that's pretty cheap to cast, and so when you put it in a deck that uses Mana Worms or uses Archmage Antonidas, you get value whether or not you get a good card out of it. So you can fit it into decks that will then still get their value. And in that respect, it'll be good in those decks. It's not going to be good in, say, like some mid-range mage deck, which those don't really exist anyway. But
right.
It wouldn't be good in a deck that doesn't also have some other way to activate the fact that it's a spell.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you wouldn't use it in a random deck. You would use it in a deck that.
I haven't seen any of these Mana Worm decks, but as far as using it with Archmage Antonitis, there's no way I would slot this into my Mech Mage deck over. I'd rather just use spare parts.
Yeah, but sometimes like this gives you another thing. So you get spare parts and you get this. Like it's just, you know.
I don't know.
That
I don't know. Like, what would you take out of your Mech Mage and put this in?
I don't know if you have to take anything out. I think out of the mechs, there's not.
You can now have 32 cards.
There's not. Well, there's not like I don't think that there's, 28 amazing mech cards, and then I think you're still filling out your deck with other random cards. I think this one actually fits.
I guess I'm just saying I haven't seen the Mech Mage that actually uses this and works.
Let's see. Is Wreckful still streaming? He was just playing it, and he was actually crushing people with it. I have seen this. I've been playing a ton of Constructed, and I've seen it, and it's worked against me pretty well. So maybe we just haven't run into it yet. But that deck is out there. It's a deck that can start really, really fast, and then cards like this and Echo Medivh allow it to just kind of keep going. And when you can start with a Manworm, or you can start with Clockwork Gnome and Cogmaster and stuff like that. When you have that many ways to start, and then you have that many ways to sustain with Echo, it's a tough matchup.
Okay.
And you win really fast. So I think it's okay. I think in Arena, it's a fine pick. It does something good for you in most places. But I'm not calling this an A card. People went overboard when it first hit. People were like, "This is the best card in the game." Like, what? I'm going to play on turn 3. I'm going to play, a Boulder Fist Ogre, and it's like, well, sometimes, but
then you get a wisp and you cry.
Yeah, you can't say it's an A because of that one time when that happens. But in general, you get a decent result out of this card. So that's why I think it's just a B. It's a B.
No, I'm
agree. Not in love with the card.
I agree with everything you just said, and that's why I gave it a C+. I don't think it's a B card.
All right. That's fair enough.
I gave it a C+ across the board and Constructed in Arena. You gave it a B across the board, Dills?
Yeah, B's in both. I don't think in either case it shines more than the other. I think it's just a card that's slightly above average in both cases.
Well, C+ is slightly above average.
Yeah, so B. Okay. B is slightly more above average than C+.
I just have to tease you a little bit there. What card? You said that specifically tonight on a certain card. I think it was Flamecannon and Constructed. You were like, C+, slightly above average.
Yeah. Sure. And this is slightly more above average. I think I would put this in more decks than Flamecannon.
Jocelyn, what did you give Unstable Portal?
I gave it a C+ in Constructed and B in Arena. I think it's a little bit better in Arena just because, card draw. But I don't know. I think it's just a little bit too inconsistent in Constructed, at least in the decks that I've been playing. They're really based on, mechs. So I don't know. I'd rather know what I'm getting. I don't have that many spells or things that are buffed by spells in my deck.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So if you do play this Mech Mage that has the Manworms and stuff, you can also think of this too. Like, if I can play my Manworm and then buff my Manworm on turn 2 and draw a card at the same time, and then on my Echo turn, I have a cheap minion to play at the same time as Echo. Now I put that minion back. Like, there's just ways to kind of that's why things like Mirror Entity, even though it's a random enemy or a random minion from the other guy, it's a minion that I don't have to pay for the turn I get it, and then my Echo gives me another card back. It's like just more and more ways to kind of get minions on the board that stick for a second or play them very cheaply makes Echo an even better card. So there's like a synergy with that kind of stuff too.
Fair enough.
I'll give you that. All right. Fair enough. Like Jocelyn just said, and I realized I totally parroted her.
Well, she is your brother, right? Your brother in whatever it was.
Apparently.
Bros, man.
Brofist? Yeah.
Brofist.
Bringing it back.
Haven't had one of those in a while. Someone who didn't hear the back catalog is just going, what in God's name are they talking about? All right.
Go find the Brofist episode. It's amazing.
You don't need to. It's not that big of a deal. Our final mage card we want to talk about is Spellstopper. She looks like a she. 4 mana epic minion, 2 attack, 5 health, and reads adjacent minions can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. This is another meh card. Gave it a C in Constructed, C+ in Arena. This is pure. That plus is purely based on my own little just experience, because when I see this in Arena, it is a pain in the ass. But
yeah, it can be, but I guess what happens is if you can put this next to a minion you really don't want to get killed, then it can be really good, right? But if you can't do that, then it's a 2/5 or 4, and it really sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can protect something that you really don't want to die, then holy crap, that can be, like you said, annoying as hell. Let's say you're against a rogue or something like that, and you put this next to your Boulder Fist Ogre, and now he can't, you trade a minion and then eviscerate that Boulder Fist Ogre. It's just like, ugh. Just gonna lose the game. So
yeah,
it can outright win a game sometimes. The problem is on turn 4, if this is your 4-drop, probably gonna suck real bad.
Yeah,
you're probably gonna have a bad time.
I agree.
And then on turn 5 they Kodo it anyway and whatever. I don't know. Yeah.
We're not all of us are pretty bored with Wii Spellstopper here. Dill's C- across the board. Jocelyn, you have a C- constructed, C+ Arena. Just trying to speed it up because we all kind of just agree here. Wii Spellstopper, just kind of a boring card.
I don't see this card ever. I don't know.
No,
I actually was watching a stream the other day and somebody played this and they were like, "What is this card? I haven't even seen this card." And I was like, "This person does nothing but play Hearthstone. How do they not know this card?" It's because no one plays this card.
Yep, that's absolutely true. So, anywho, that'll wrap up our Mage review for today. Let's take a crazy game story.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
It's the new year, Drex. It's just calm down. Calm down, man.
Drax is still going strong, though. You thought Mal'Ganis would maybe replace it. Nope. Now they just put both of them in there.
now they're just best buddies. He's just like, hey, Mal'Ganis, could I borrow a cup of sugar? Thanks.
He's like, you faced Drax. He's like, yeah, I know, dude. I just asked if I could.
I'm just baking some cookies. I'm baking some lot cookies, and I need some sugar. Let's do this.
That MagicAmy, by the way, played both in her handlock deck to great success. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Anyways, folks, you can send your crazy game stories into us. Our email is tacpodcast@gmail.com. Jocelyn, who is our story today from?
This week we've got a story from Mike. He says, hey all, first of all, I listen every week and love what you do. Although I've never written it before, I had something happen to me where my first thought was, I have to tell Garrett. The setup.
I'm glad that was his first thought.
It has something to do with Crackle. I'm predicting it right now.
You're looking at the notes. It's not.
I haven't read this, no, but I'm just. Why would you think that? Crackle. That's why.
Crackle or something else incredibly random happened.
Yeah.
No. Why would it be Garrett? Because Crackle. Watch.
All right. So the setup: him, shaman, 3 points, 1/1 totem, and 1 card in hand. Me, warlock.
Shaman. Okay, shaman. See, this is gonna be a crap.
Dills, if you're gonna stop the story every time there's evidence of Crackle coming up, it's gonna be a long story.
I know. I picked a really short one on purpose. And it's just going right off the rails.
I'm just Dilstradamusing.
Oh, I'm so glad the show is back.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so me, warlock, 9 hit points and 4 minions on board, and I end my turn. So he gets his 1 card, and he's dead unless he has a miracle. So then this happens. He spins a totem, and it's Wrath of Air, miracle number 1. And then he goes Crackle to the face.
Nailed it.
For the max 7 points, which is miracle number 2, and I know Garrett loves this. To finish it off, he throws down Mechano Enhanso, which promptly gives the 1/1 Wind Fury, and he finishes me off. Miracle number 3, and all I could do was laugh. Thanks for the great podcast every week. I look forward to it and enjoy it greatly.
There you go.
There you go.
And by the way, that's Enhanso Mechano. Not Mechano
sorry.
Enhanso, but that's okay.
I was just reading the email.
At this point,
Mike
was probably laughing hysterically or completely demoralized. So.
Yeah.
I was about to say he was so flabbergasted by the fact that like a deity from on high came down to his opponent and said, "You're going to win this game," that he couldn't write the name of Enhanso Mechano correctly.
Yeah. I was like, as I read it, I'm like, this doesn't sound right.
Yeah. Here's the other. But see, I mean, this is the thing. It's like, yes, lots of ways you could have not gotten all that damage in or whatever. They also could have just attacked with the 1/1 played Drax, or I mean, Ragnaros and hit like there's not like more RNG now than there ever was before. I hear this argument all the time from people. They're saying like, now the game is just so incredibly RNG. It's like, oh, there was always RNG. It's always been RNG. Yes, this time it took 3 things of RNG, but that doesn't mean that.
But that's why it's a crazy game story.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't happen this way every time.
No. It is crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's also it's a card game, guys. I don't know. Go take a deck of cards, shuffle it, and then draw some cards, and then shuffle again, draw some cards.
Card that comes out, yeah.
Yeah,
and be like, I know I will win because I know exactly what order these cards are.
Randomness is it's a staple of card games. It's gonna happen, and the fact that this is digital just means there's more we can do with it. I don't agree with all of it. I'm not going to get into a certain card that was in the story that I don't agree with. It's a playable card. I know it's a playable card. It offends me.
So Jumbuck Joel, 1-4, 1-4, then a 1-3. So yeah, it's pretty slim chance there.
Yep. That's a great story.
Exactly that.
That's such a good story. Thank you for your story, Mike. Again, send them in tacpodcast@gmail.com. Let's take some emails to round out the show.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You can also send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. And our first one today comes to us from Troy, who writes, "Hey guys, love the show, but I really have to correct you on one part of that Good Gaming 10K tournament report. The Sunday tournament did happen, did finish, and winners have been promised their payout exactly as was stated in the tournament rules through PayPal in mid-January. You're not correcting us. We said we weren't sure what happened."
Yeah. Yeah, this is true. I was actually I heard that, and I was like, we didn't say that we knew it didn't. We just said we didn't know.
We said we weren't sure.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but fair enough, though.
Yeah, he said, while the qualifiers were a total shit show, I wouldn't dispute that.
Sorry.
What? I
should have edited that.
I say shit on the show all the shit in time. The Sunday event went off almost perfectly for 90% of us. Of the 256 invited, 230 were able to sign up and were ready on time. A small number of people had trouble with the instructions or did not get their final invite email, and Good Gaming held up the tourney for over an hour trying to help them. Once the Sunday tournament started, a single elimination bracket using Xfire, it went off with only a few issues having to do with players not understanding how to enter the score. I can't imagine why people would have a problem entering their score when there were about a bajillion stupid, poorly written rules on how to do this tournament. He said, I should mention that I finished in the top 16, which made me very happy. Oh, that's why you're being... That's why this guy is being so nice about this tournament.
Well, I saw this email and I was like, oh, I haven't heard anybody really say anything good. This is good. And
you should have left that part out. At least
16,
I would have.
So clearly it was doable to play in this tournament.
If he had left that out, I would have just sat here questioning why he was being so kind about the tournament. No, I'm just. He said, this made me very happy, and that happiness I'm sure colored by experience, so he's admitting it. If I had gotten knocked out in round 1 after the horrible experience in the qualifiers, I would probably be just as bitter as most of the other folks. But it is critical that everyone know that this tourney did finish and that the organizers made huge improvements from the qualifiers to the finals. Thanks, guys. Love the show. Proud Patreon supporter of TAC. Thank you, Troy, for sending that in.
Congratulations on finishing so well.
Yeah.
That's cool. But, yeah, I think some people might have made it to the next day but didn't get the chance because of the first day stuff. So that's, I think, why people are really pissed.
I'm pretty sure we skipped... I feel like I read this after we did the episode with Brian Kibler where we talked about this. But another one of the big points that everyone had an issue with was because of all of the issues during the qualifiers, they just said, you know what? You don't have to register your decks. Basically saying, you know what? You can cheat your ass off and get into day 2.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, the whole thing is just a cluster, and it just
trying hard not to.
I'm not gonna say that one, okay? But it was a cluster shit. But but the thing is like he's lucky to have made it to day 2, because some people who apparently were supposed to have, because of how much they had won on day 1 when it was the Swiss thing, their games got thrown out. They were suddenly not on the bracket anymore. All kinds of stuff. So yeah, you obviously played really well on that second day, and congratulations on that performance. That's pretty good to get top 16 out of that many people. But
that's really good.
there was probably people who were supposed to be in there and then didn't get in there. So that sucks for those people. So that's why people are pissed.
Yeah.
And we correct that we didn't know that this finished the next day. And I guess props to them for running it well on the second day, but no props are still given to the tournament as a whole.
No.
No props shall be given.
Yes. We still do not give props. But congratulations to you, Troy. That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So and thank you for sending this in, because literally every other email we got about this subject was like, yeah, F those guys. No one was even attempting to be objective. So thank
pretty
you, Troy.
much everybody hated this tournament. Yeah. Except for, I'm sure, the guy who won. I'm sure that guy's like, hey, come on, man.
Best
tournament was
ever.
fantastic.
It was delightful.
I have money. I will give them credit, though, if they paid out a lot of times, like, people don't get paid in these esports things for a while. So,
well, it said
they did that part
mid-January,
right.
So one more thing. We're not sure if they've been paid yet. So next week we'll get an email correcting us saying that they were paid.
Wait, did he say that? I thought he said he got paid.
I thought he said mid-January.
Oh, okay. So they promised the payment. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Promised their payout exactly
promised
as
it.
stated.
Oh, boy. All right.
Oh, no.
All right.
Email us back, Troy, once mid-January.
The
goes
jury's
by.
still out.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure. I have no reason to believe they wouldn't pay them.
By the way, we paid out our people like instantaneously when we did that.
We did. I was all over
I
that.
didn't know that we didn't have to do that. I didn't know. We could have just
could've
held on to
hung
that
to
money.
it, yeah.
Yeah. And they'll be like, we'll pay you mid next month. It'll be fine.
Yeah, they were
Literally
probably very
no
confused.
reason to do that. When
Yeah.
you have
Oh,
the
yeah.
money to pay out, there's no reason to do that.
I was watching Firebat's stream, and he said he has not received his $100,000 yet. So that's a big sum of money, though.
I was about to say,
Huge
when
lawyers
it's that,
and taxes and things.
I'm
need
not,
to be,
yeah, that's like, you know what it is? Is it's just like the IRS just goes, I'm sorry, this is for what?
Yeah. You won this? How?
No. Back up one more time. I know I've asked you 13 times now. What is this?
I think Mike Morheim just walked up and he just pulled like a bunch of hundreds out of his back pocket and just licked his
How
thumb
much do I
and
owe
just
you
started.
again?
Yeah, he's like, all right, put your hand out,
clean.
Matt.
All of the goodwill we have built with Blizzard has just been destroyed with Willie Dills Gregory trying to pantomime what it would look like for Mike
classic
Morheim to make it
thumbnail.
rain on Firebat.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Great stuff. Stills, you want to take the second email?
Sure. This is from Schwan, who says, "Hello, chickens. I am angry." Oh, okay.
Look out.
Plot twist. This guy's angry, not us. Okay. As always, I love the show and I look forward to it every week. My question is mostly directed at Dills. All right. I love Arena and play it significantly, all in caps, more than constructed. I also love all of the new GVG cards. However, since their release, I went from constantly getting 8 to 12 wins in Arena to barely being able to achieve 4 wins. I constantly get blindsided by crazy out of nowhere cards or not being able to build as consistent of decks as I could before. Any advice? Yes, I do have advice. I've been doing really well in Arena since GVG after some adjusting. There was an adjustment period for sure. Arena has gotten a lot more aggro, fast-paced. There's more 1 and 2 drops that are actually decent now, so the games are they're all about early tempo, and if you can't have a decent early game, you're just not going to be able to win. So you really have to draft a much lower curve than you used to have to, and you just have to adjust to that playstyle. It's just GVG is much more. There's just more cards that are early on that are actually good. That's really what it comes down to. And so you get more options, more 1 drops, more 2 drops that are just going to trade well and trade up and do all that and have synergy with each other and all that stuff. So you need to adjust how you draft. You need to draft a little bit faster. And then the other thing I'm going to suggest, because I had to test it, I wasn't convinced just from hearing of it, but I had somebody tweet at me telling me to look into heartharena.com. Now, before you all just run over there and blow their site up, they are in kind of a closed beta period, I guess you could say. So you have to try to sign up for it. And then once you get kind of approved, I guess it is. I mean, I got approved like the same day. It wasn't like it took a long time or anything. Then you could start using the site. But essentially what it does is you put in the 3 choices, and then it tells you which one has the best rating and which one it thinks you should pick based on what you already have in your deck and other things like that. And it's a good card, or a good website. It works really well. And I've now done 2 runs with it, and I got 10 wins on the first one and 12 wins on the second one. So that's a small sample size, but that seems pretty decent, right? And I picked literally the card that it suggested. I didn't try to alter it and say, oh, I know what's better. I just picked whatever card it suggested. Now, it doesn't help you play the deck. It only helps you improve your drafting. And I think after a while, you can figure it out on your own anyway. So I actually didn't have any of the cards that were different than what I would have picked in both of these. So it wasn't like I was actually getting help from them, but it would help people who aren't sure. So check it out. It's pretty cool.
So
and it explains things to you as well.
Okay. Because I just have a quick question, which actually Tapper B in the chat room is also kind of saying. He's saying, oh, kind of cheaty. And I can see that, but I mean, like, well, you and I have done the same thing. You did the same thing with Garrett, too, where, you know, you watch over my shoulder and give me tips and hints and, you know, help me draft. But is it a little cheaty making an app that kind of helps you make choices in Arena because making choices to draft an Arena deck is part of Arena?
No, I totally disagree with that because we already have resources. This is just another resource. This is the same thing as Trump putting out his Arena tier list. This is literally the exact same thing. It's just a website I can go to. I don't have to sit and watch a video or reference Trump's list or whatever. It's just who knows if this is right or wrong. It's just, this is what this guy thinks. It might not be the best thing. So I don't see it as that. This is just another way to get assistance. So it tells you what it rates the best, and then you can pick that or not. And so,
right, yeah, that's true.
In the end, you're picking whatever.
No, that's fair.
And I was just
curious.
No, I don't think that that's completely unfounded, but I don't agree with that. It's like, is it cheating because I now know how to do math because a teacher told me how to do math? Like, no, it's not cheating. You're just teaching someone how to do it.
No, okay, no, then that's fair. I mean, because I know, like, we've had the conversation about botting, and obviously this isn't a full-on bot, but we've had the conversation on the show.
You have to play the game.
No, I know. Let me make my point, damn it. So, I mean, like, we've talked about bots before, and obviously we're against botting, but bots actually go in and play the game for you. So I was just wondering if you really thought that the drafting of a deck was playing the game, or if the game just strictly comes from putting the cards in the match.
There's a lot of people who, you know, I've given lessons to people who have a big problem with the drafting process, and they're not really sure how to do it. I've written articles about this. It's difficult, and it's difficult to explain in a really good way that's going to stick with somebody, and they're going to be able to take with them and remember all the time. So this does a few things for you. It keeps track of your Arena stats. It helps you do the drafting process. And it just is going to overall make you a better Hearthstone player in the end if you're someone who struggles with this thing. So essentially, I mean, to me, it's just a teaching tool. That's literally all it is.
Fair enough.
You can choose to listen or not. So I don't see it being a cheating thing at all, like not in the slightest.
Can I take a middle ground?
Sure.
And to be fair, I think it sounds really cool, and I want to try it, and I'm going to try it, and I don't think it's cheating. I just think that it's worth having the conversation.
Yeah.
My middle ground is I agree with Dills if you actually try and learn from it. If you're just using this every single time you draft blindly and you're not actually thinking about why it's telling you to pick what it's telling you to pick, it's not really helping you. And you're just getting a boost to your play without getting anything out of it.
No, that's
does it
true.
give you a lot of information about the cards? And okay, so it doesn't just say pick this card.
No, it says
Yetis
oh,
for days.
we need this card because it has synergy with this, and we need a 4-drop, and you know, so it actually does tell you some information. And then also, you know, to Garrett's point, if you're not paying attention to that and you're just having it pick the cards for you, then essentially you're just like a bad student. You know, like you're just like a guy who doesn't. Like you go to school and you don't listen to the teacher, and then you're like, why do I keep failing this test? I don't understand. I was sitting in class when you were talking. why do I still not know how to do this? It's like, well, because you're not paying attention. So if you are that type of person, okay, but you're probably still not going to win. So even though like you can, like I could say, oh, I went 10 wins and 12 wins. That doesn't mean that's going to be everyone's experience. But I just wanted to see, picking exactly the cards that told me, did I end up with a good deck? Clearly I did. Now I had to also play the games, and there was a bunch of turns where I had big decisions to make. But if I had made the wrong decision in those turns, I wouldn't have gotten 10 or 12 wins. So, but what this is going to do is going to give you another resource, and I have now proven it, I think, to be at least potentially successful at doing what it's trying to do, by the fact that the decks it gave me were able to go 10 and 12.
Well, and the decks, I mean, you've said before, even just in this episode, that, you coach Arena, you play a lot of Arena, and you do very well in Arena. So, I mean, the fact that the cards that it was spewing out at you were very close, if not exactly the same, to the cards you would have picked anyway, and you are the Arena guy, clearly, good choices.
No,
it's a good tool.
Together,
it's doing what it's supposed to. Yeah,
it's impressive because it actually changes the scores based on what you have already. Once you've drafted the deck, it tells you what cards synergize with what cards. It just does a lot of really cool things, and for this one specific aspect of Hearthstone, which is Arena. So I recommend anybody who's struggling with Arena, go check it out and see what happens. Hopefully it'll help you out.
I was just trying to get in on the conversation. Actually, I'm totally fine with these things, by the way, in case anyone's wondering where I stand.
So what's the website, Dills?
Heartharena.com.
Go check it out.
Yeah, everybody, I recommend it. It's brand new, and like I said, you may or may not get approved to use it, because I think it's run by, I think it's just one guy. I don't know anything else about it.
If this is one dude, it's mighty impressive, because it is a really cool system.
That being said, though, I still recommend Hearth Stats to track your stats. They sent me my t-shirt. But those guys are doing really cool stuff over there, too. And this, you have to enter everything. Hearth Stats has the uploader and all that. So, but I think this site does what it does very well.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that tip, Dills. Everyone should go check it out. That'll do it for this week's episode of The Angry Chicken. Hope you all enjoyed it. I know we're happy to be back. If you want to support the show and become a subscriber, you can go to our Patreon page over at patreon.com/TAC. We wanted to thank the following patrons this week. Thank you very much to Niels M., Cody H., Adam C., Nick C., and Aaron Holland. I said his full name because he's a buddy of mine, so thank you, Aaron. I was like, I know who you are. He has an awesome comic shop here locally. You should all go check it out. Coliseum of Comics in Orlando. It's really cool. So thank you, patrons. Thank you very much. We didn't really have like a proper end of the year show, so just an extra thank you, because we just ended our first year with a Patreon page, and to end it over 1,000, let alone kind of pushing towards 2, is kind of nuts. Like, yeah, just it's been a really cool experience. So thank you to everyone who has supported the show so far.
Yeah, no, it's great. Patreon is actually making a lot of things possible that wouldn't be, not just for us, but for a lot of things. I just heard about Game Over Greggy. Is that what the name of it is? Those guys are like leaving IGN because their Patreon page is like paying for them to now just make content all the time, however they want to do it, with no limits or rules or whatever.
That's so awesome.
Which means there's jobs open at IGN. So see
there you go.
Yeah.
Jocelyn's just Geddes, like, one of the guys on that actually went to school with me. I remember he was he was a video guy and I was an audio guy, but he was there with me, and like now I'm like, oh yeah, and then you went on to IGN, and cool, all right. So congrats to a guy from my alma mater as well. That's good stuff.
Totally freaking awesome.
Yeah, so thank you to the patrons for sure, because it does allow us to make this something we actually put a lot of effort and time into and get rewarded for that. So we're glad you guys appreciate it and want to support it. It would be fine if you didn't, but we're glad that you do.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much.
Show's always going to be free, folks, but if you want to kick in $1 or $2, we really appreciate it. Also, if you want to leave us a review in whatever podcatcher of your choice is, we always like to thank you folks who are dropping them in the iTunes store. So this week from the U.S. iTunes store, thank you to Tobolowski, Slinky Thunder Socks, great
amazing
name, and Reuben. Thank you guys very much for your
Good
iTunes
old
reviews.
Leaky Thunder sucks.
It sounds like a rejected Pokemon. As always, The Angry Chicken is a production of amove.tv and the Frogpants Studios over at frogpants.com. Our email is tacpodcast@gmail.com. All of our past live shows and other videos can be found on the YouTube, which is youtube.com/StarcastShow. And we have a t-shirt for sale over at slashloot.com. You can get the Angry Chicken logo on a shirt. Walk around proudly, and when people ask you what it is, you can just be like, I just have a thing for perturbed poultry. And then they'll look at you weird, and you get to send us an email saying you did that. So that's fun. Mm-hmm. Follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast, and you can catch the live show every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern right here on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. We also have a mobile live stream provided by alphageekradio.com, and our music was done by Brian Griffith, who I got to hang out with over Christmas, and I had a great time. Got to watch him play some blues bass. He is a sultry musician, and you can see his work over at briangriffithmusic.com. Dills, where can folks find you?
You can find me on The Instance, the World of Warcraft podcast that you don't have to, with Scott Johnson, the T, who is now Father T, had his baby.
My God.
Break. Yeah, he's a baby T. And Patrick Beja, and that's every Friday morning, and we talk about good old World of Warcraft. And let's see, what else? Pretty soon we'll be bringing back Torture Cast. I haven't been on the show in a little while. But we've got some stuff we're going to go over, like 2014, which was a big year, of course, for the Giants, and getting closer to spring training time. Football is something I don't give a crap about. Glad that's over for me. 49ers were a bust. So I'm ready to start talking about baseball again. So check out torchcast.com for that stuff.
Sports ball. Jocelyn.
Sports ball.
Denver this weekend.
Ooh.
Our household, we are Giants and Bears fans here. We have had no reason to watch football this year. Jocelyn, where can folks find you?
Right here on A-Move TV every Friday night. I do the Gamers In podcast, which is a general gaming podcast. We just did our Game of the Year episode, which was also episode 150. So we're getting up there. It's, that's 8:30 on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. Also, I've been streaming a lot. And so if you want to follow me on Twitch, that is just GIS Gamer. Same for Twitter.
Awesome. Everyone should follow Jocelyn because reasons.
Thank you. Best reasons ever.
And you can follow me for reasons on Twitter at GarrettArt, at GarrettArt, or over at nomoonart.com. That's my graphic design portfolio. I also do a Heroes of the Storm podcast called Into the Nexus with Mr. Kyle Ferguson. But this week, I wanted to tell everyone to go check out Jay Hammond C's podcast. It is called Beyond the Playlist. And the episode that just posted yesterday on January 4th was an interview with me. And I got a chance to really geek out about art, which is something I'm constantly having to meter and limit on this show. And we talked Hearthstone. So there you go, guys. There's plenty of Hearthstone talking as well. So go check that out. Again, it's Beyond the Playlist, and it was the January 4th episode. Big thanks to Hammond. He does a good work over there. So that'll do it for this week's show. Go check out our sponsors, dogcowsystems.com. The code to use is TAC, and it'll get you double memory on your next dogcow system while also supporting the Angry Chicken in the process. We thank them for their support. We thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week for episode 61. But until then, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!